Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is December 10th, 2024, and I wanted to make a video a little earlier than usual today because I feel like a lot of people are grossly misreading the market. And even the analysts that I saw, big accounts like Sheldon the Sniper on Crypto Banter, saying, expect a pullback, they seem to be of the belief that the pullback is finished, more or less, okay? Actually, it hasn't really even started. You just got a small taste of it. Like, it is so... I hope you watched the rest of this video if you were of that opinion, or you think that there's anything about this pullback technically that is finished, or even, you can go beyond the technicals. You can go, you can look at fear and greed. You can look at, other indicators. There's nothing that tells you now is a good time to buy. If anything, if you haven't yet sold, sell now. You just got another chance with a little bit of a bounce. So all I'm saying is people think they've seen the worst. Like it's not even started. And so that's what this video is. Basically, don't buy yet. Wait. It's gonna get a lot worse before you get bullish. Don't be bullish at resistance. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm not going to waste too much time. I really want to convey this information. Let's start with Bitcoin as usual. Bitcoin on the hourly time frame. Okay, there's so many things that have yet to happen that are clearly likely to happen. Technical analysis is all probabilistic. Nobody has a crystal ball. Every great analyst, even the best analyst, has been wrong multiple times. It's just a part of the business. So nobody's saying that they know 100% or for sure. But probabilistically, right? This is what we do. We deal in probabilities, high probability outcomes. You can't say that the dump is over until and unless this right here is filled. I talked about this yesterday. The imbalance that was created in the market on this wick, which is, I think, historically one of the biggest wicks to the downside in Bitcoin's history ever. It hadn't even, like, you put it in once, you haven't filled it, and people are saying, oh yeah, that was a close call. Like, people think we're gonna do something cute like this and then pump. No, not even. You have to, at the very least, you have to deal with this liquidity right here. Too many people in the market, too many market participants did not get to take part in this price action at these levels, right? So basically what you saw is you had a bunch of buyers step in, creating a 15-minute wick, right? A 10% wick to the downside, bought up very quickly. You have to come back here. That's number one, okay? If, let's say you were on the small time frames, and a lot of these analysts, one thing I notice, even good ones, I think they're quite good because I follow them on Twitter or something and I see their analysis and it seems pretty sound. You gotta zoom out, guys. Like, you're way too myopic. Like, I'm on the hourly time frame and I'm just looking at the confines of Bitcoin's price action in this range, this distributive range that we've been in since maybe the 20th of November. That's not sufficient to really understand what's likely to happen. Okay, I can tell you more or less, just like I did, that this is likely to happen within the sort of confines with as it pertains to this range, but that's not telling me much. You need to zoom out before you give a further or fuller account of what's likely going to happen with this asset. So that is number one. The second thing is our main target has yet to be hit. And you only understand that through zooming out. So let's zoom out from the hourly to the 4 hourly time frame. And one thing that people are not getting, and I've said this before in previous videos, they're not getting that we're at a macro top. The video would last an hour if I could talk about all the ways that we're at a macro top. But I'm just going to say briefly, if you look at what has happened with Bitcoin coming up, this is quite clearly some sort of distribution. And even if you have reservations and you think, okay, it could be either a distribution or an intra-wave correction, meaning just a temporary correction before a continuation, you should at least entertain the concept, the idea, the possibility that it's a proper top. And if it is a proper top, then you're likely looking at a proper correction from there. It's just like one reason, one thing. I've been trading for so many years. I've done everything. I've made the biggest gains. I've made the biggest losses. I've made all the mistakes in the world. One thing that is so clear to me when I see a lot of analysts sort of reports and assessments from what Bitcoin's doing at present is they're completely blind to that notion of this being a local market top. They won't even entertain it in their analysis. That tells me that they're the greed emotion, or the greed element of, the market, fear and greed, right? The greed element is predominant in their psyche, to which they won't even use their skills at reading the market and saying, well, maybe it is, because maybe they've made life-changing money. Maybe they're one trade away from, retiring their parents. They're not bad people. They're not bad traders. And I understand it. I've been there. But all I'm saying is, this is a huge pitfall in trading. This is why trading is so difficult, because you literally don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to entertain it. But it's very possible. It's very possible that this is a local market top. When I say local market top, does that mean it's a top of the bull market? No. If you watch my analysis, if you are subscribed to my channel and you've seen my work, you'll understand that the bull market to me hasn't even started yet. I talked about that briefly in a recent video called The Great Crash of 2024. If you want, you can check it out. It's on the channel. But the bull market hasn't even started yet. And typically in all Bitcoin bull markets, we tend to see a massive flush before a great move to the upside. We haven't yet had that massive flush. And this is what I think we're going to do. We're going to have a massive flush to the downside before a big move to the upside, heralding the actual bull market. So that massive flush to the downside, for those of you who are newly subscribed, welcome, by the way, and thank you for your subscription, is a quick move down to the $67,000 level, retesting this descending broadening wedge that we've been in for quite a while, and retesting. Let's just look at it really quickly since I'm talking about it. So both retesting this descending broadening wedge that you can see, this megaphone pattern that is approximately, that was about 217 days old, and it's retesting previous highs, right? This double top that we had in 2021, that is now part and parcel of a neckline of a larger inverse head and shoulders, massive bullish reversal pattern, right? You'd be retesting the neckline of that, just like you would retest the neckline of any bullish pattern, right? And that's a 1300-day pattern. So I talked about that again in the Great Crash of 2024 video. But I just want to say, like, the job's not done. The move isn't done, and it hasn't even started, to be honest, right? Why am I saying it hasn't even started? Yes, we got a small move down in Bitcoin, but understand, all we got was a retest of the midline. Remember, these midlines in these channels, they act as support when you're above it, resistance when you're below it. And they are, to be respected just as well as the tops and the bottoms of the channel. So right here, you popped up, you put in a UTAD, right? That's a upthrust after distribution. That's a Wyckoff analysis term, right? Basically, you peak above the upper resistance of the channel. You come all the way down to the bottom of the channel, and then you come back up to the top of the channel, respect the top of the channel as resistance, which you should. And now you pop down to the midline of the channel. You find brief support there, but it's brief support because this is clearly not a bullish thing, right? Boom, that's clearly the next thing. And actually, you can see what's very likely to happen. High probability move is that we come down with the same verve and the same force as we did on that wick, right? Because you always see there's a yin and a yang. Like there's always a balance in the market. One of the things I love about trading is how beautifully natural markets are, and you can see natural patterns in markets. I think it's so beautiful. There's always a complement. There's always a positive and a negative. So if this was a quick wick, it's gonna be filled, and that's likely to fill quickly. And what the other thing you're likely to see is the next move isn't going to stop at the bottom of the channel. At some point in time, when you break a channel, it has to break. Okay, and that's part of channel trading. If you study channels, you'll see the final move out of a channel breaks the channel. But what usually happens more often than not is you retest the midline of the channel before continuing off. So you break the channel, you basically herald, okay, this is over. We're no longer trading in this channel as we have been since the 20th of November. And I'm going to respect the channel by saying, hey, just so you know, I'm leaving. That is the midline retest, and that's basically why I have the trajectory of Bitcoin's price action sort of traced as such. Basically, a break of the channel, retest of the midline, and then move. So I say this move to the downside hasn't even started because although altcoins are down quite a bit, and you haven't seen anything yet, we'll get to altcoins in a second, you haven't even broken the channel yet. The channel is still intact. You have yet to break the channel. Altcoins have broken their channels. We'll get to altcoins in a second. But do you see what I mean? Bitcoin has yet to break its channel of distribution, or whatever you think it is. If you're of the opinion that this is a consolidation of accumulation or reaccumulation, whatever, the channel hasn't even broken. So what there's literally nothing happened, and people freaked out, and the liquidations that you saw yesterday in Bitcoin were historic, and you didn't even break the channel. This is why I said 2-3 videos ago, expect a cascade of liquidations, the likes of which we haven't seen before, maybe paralleling the COVID crash of 2020, 2021, but probably even more, because there's more institutional investment, there's more leverage, there's more people, institutions that are irresponsibly long, that are invested in a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing trading these markets. And I'm not saying that derisively or derogatorily. It is very difficult to get any experience in this market, any market. You got to learn through pain and difficulty and loss. It's tough. So all I'm saying is very likely to happen. Our first target of 86.4 hit, then a retest of the midline. A lot of people, once again, mark my words, are going to think that the break or that the drawdown is over. They may or may not. They may not, because altcoins will prove that there's so much blood, it's probably not over. But still, I'm sure some people will think that this bounce is, okay, fine, we're out of the woods, let's finally buy. That was it. Oh, leverage is flushed out. People say that all the time. They have no idea. There's leverage left and right, up and down, all the way down to, 50,000. People have their stops and their liquidation points up and down the line in Bitcoin. Do you think really a small 4%, 5% move is sufficient to flush out the leverage in the futures market in Bitcoin? Come on. All right, so that's Bitcoin. That's basically what I want to say with that. But I want to talk about altcoins. So it's important, really, because a lot of people are invested in altcoins. A lot of people are probably going long in altcoins. A lot of people are probably thinking that this is the last chance to buy. A lot of analysts are telling you that. That is likely false. I'm not going to say completely false because, again, I don't know. I'm just giving you my best guess based off of my analysis, based off of my experience. But look at this. This is the first thing I'm going to show you. All right. And this pertains also to the Bitcoin market. Look at this. What is this? This is a US dollar currency index. This is the relative strength of the US dollar traded against a basket of world reserve currencies. Now, does this look bullish or bearish to you? Just on the small time frame or on the 4-hourly time frame, which I consider small time frame. It's intraday. This is clearly breaking out. And we talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into it. Just imagine that this is going up, yet you think that we're done dumping with Bitcoin. You think that we're done dumping with altcoins, right? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to ask you objectively, look at the information, ignore what everybody's saying. The herd is typically wrong, and do your own research. Understand what these indicators are telling you. These indicators are telling you to de-risk because the price or the value of the dollar is going up. That means the value of risk on assets, Bitcoin, stocks, and cryptos, right? They're gonna go down, at least in the immediate short term, okay? And let's look at another indicator, and I've talked about this before as well. Look at the Bitcoin dominance indicator. Once again, does this look bullish or bearish to you? What's it doing right now? It's on the 4-hourly time frame. I consider that a small time frame, yes. But at least in the immediate short term, what do you see? Well, I see a double bottom. I see a local market bottom right there. And I see a small breakout. And I don't see resistance hit yet, right? This may be the resistance. I talked about this before. Or it may go even higher. All I'm saying is it's not yet time. Remember, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means that Bitcoin is gaining against the rest of the cryptocurrency market. Bitcoin is gaining against altcoins. The only time Bitcoin gains against altcoins is when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins stay stagnant. That's one. But two, and what usually happens when Bitcoin dominance goes up is Bitcoin dumps and altcoins dump even more. That is more likely going to happen with this move in Bitcoin dominance. Let's look at altcoins directly, specifically. Let's start out with the total 3. I've seen so many irresponsible charts saying, oh, look at this total 3. It's gonna pump, it's gonna keep going, it's gonna keep going, it's gonna keep going, and they're drawing their squiggly lines up and up and up and up. This was a legitimate resistance. It was broken. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think it's been retested, if ever, okay? And I'm pretty sure one of the first things I learned when I started learning technical analysis is that resistance must be flipped into support before continuation. It's called an RS flip. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't see that. So I don't understand why respectable analysts are completely ignoring the lack of a retest of, and it's not a 5-minute thing. This was resistance for 160 days, a half a fucking year. Like, do you expect that to be retested ever? It's likely it is. Again, probability says yes, i.e., don't buy altcoins yet because they're likely needing to come down all the way back here. I told even my brother, my own brother, my loving brother, hey, take profit. He's like, I don't have time to day trade. I say, take profit, because whatever gains you may have made in your spot, you'll lose completely. I mean, we're gonna go back to whatever we did before the election. So all those gains, you will lose. I would take profit and then just wait for blood, wait for carnage, wait for people throwing their hands up, exchanges closing down, all that stuff. Then you buy. That's when you buy, not now. People think yesterday was bad. It wasn't. Okay, let's look at a specific altcoin. I'm going to look at Ethereum, and I didn't talk about this actually. I think I did a Twitter post on it. It wasn't a proper Twitter post. I responded to somebody saying that it was one of those analysts that I find respectable, but for some reason, completely blind to what's happening. Okay, Ethereum. Let's just use Ethereum and we'll get out of here. Ethereum is at resistance. Okay, it's at resistance. It's a staunch resistance of many months. Okay, you can look at this $4,000 resistance in Ethereum. It's 270 days worth of resistance. Very clear, right? And I drew the line. This is the third touch. And you could say, yeah, all right, third time's a charm. We hit it the third time, we're gonna pop out. Sure, but I mean, there's no rule that it has to happen on the third time or the fourth time or the fifth time. But all I'm saying is, when resistance is broken, usually staunch resistance, it doesn't ask permission, nor does it give you any kind of, hey, I'm gonna break it. No, it just breaks it and then retests it. So it'll break it quickly. And that didn't happen here. So expect a rejection, a retracement. Okay? So that's number one. So that's the first resistance. I thought, yeah, I don't know about that. Secondly, you have this channel that ETH has been in since early November. Okay? And it's been respecting this channel, as you can see. And I was like, I don't know about that. There's a double resistance here. There's that 270-day $4,000 resistance, and there's this resistance of the upper diagonal of this channel. Again, this is all support and resistance. It's quite straightforward. So I'm like, I don't like ETH here to go higher. I think it's met its match with these resistances, and it's got to break down. Lo and behold, we did get a breakdown, and that breakdown was what? A breakdown of this channel. Okay, let's zoom in now. And this is just an example, but you can use this. What ETH did, breaking its channel, all altcoins did. They broke their channels. It's very nice. Nice in the sense that it's consistent in terms of analysis, not nice because people lost money. I don't celebrate that ever. So yeah. So what you can see here is you broke down from the channel and you retested the bottom of the channel, which was previous support, as resistance. That's all that happened. So people who are getting excited at this bounce, not understanding the larger context of the bounce, are going to think this is a buy. This is basically the market being bullish again. No, it's not. It's not at all. This is basically the start of the dump. It's basically, oh, thanks for the ride. Oh, I'm leaving now. I'm going to retest previous support as new resistance. And this is when the real dump starts, i.e., this is why I'm saying the real dump hasn't started. You can see it in pretty much any asset. Let's prove this point with one other. And it doesn't matter which one. Let's choose Cardano. This is a big time altcoin, right? So Cardano, like ETH, had been in a sort of channel for, some time. Cardano, I would say, if you zoom out, was also at multiple resistances. Okay, and here you can see it quite clearly. And again, I'm an Elliottician. My expertise, my stated expertise, right? Some people would disagree, but I would say I'm an expert in Elliott wave theory. I've lived with it. I've practiced it. I used it. I've won with it. I've lost with it. I've studied it. I've thought about it. I've ruminated. I've meditated on it. That's my point of expertise. Still, I'm a technical analyst. You have to, as a technical analyst, have a good understanding of support and resistance, because most of the time the market's just support and resistance. There's no such, like, 5-wave impulse to analyze every single time, or 3-wave correction. Yeah, you can analyze 3-wave corrections more often than not, but really practical technical analysis is typically just support and resistance, and it's just drawing lines on and knowing like kind of which lines to draw and what price is telling you. Price is telling you the story. The story here is there's a diagonal resistance here, and that diagonal resistance has been in play since February of 2023. So I put that in, right? This is a multi-month resistance that Cardano was in. And so I was like, ooh, I told one client, take profit on Cardano at this point. It's very likely, there's a high probability that it's going to go down from there. Don't expect it to just rocket through that multi-month resistance, okay? Another thing, zooming in. So you see that as you hit that multi-month resistance, you put in some consolidation. That consolidation is more likely than not a distribution channel. Okay, distribution channel, again, for those of you who don't know, is when you go from down to up. Before you go from up to down again, you have to consolidate, and that's called a distribution channel, right? That's Wyckoff analysis. So it's an up and to the right distribution channel, but it's a distribution channel nonetheless, if you look at it. And what happened is that this multi-day distribution channel, going up and down, up and down, up and down, finally did what? Retested the what? Midline, found resistance, because the midline's resistance when you're below it, support when you're above it, broke down through the channel, didn't ask permission, and did what? Retested the bottom of the channel as resistance. Previous support flipped into new resistance. That's all that's happening in the altcoin space. Choose whatever altcoin. Invariably, you're going to see this story. This story meaning, this is basically telling you we're going to go down a lot further. And yeah, I meant what I said. If this had broken through, that's a different story. That is a reclamation rather, of important levels. That is what we would call a bear trap. This is basic 101 impulse to the downside. You're basically getting ready for carnage that has yet to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Cardano, for instance, right, is likely coming down to these levels where I have this red band right here. Why? Because if you look at this, you had a channel that was in place since August, okay? This channel never retested the midline. You guys think I'm playing with these principles. These principles are so consistent, which is why we call them principles. There was no midline retest and a breakout to Valhalla. Despite the breakout to the next logical resistance, you expect a retest of the channel's midline as support before continuation. This means that you can expect in Cardano a massive dump of about 60+%. People aren't ready for that because they're convinced that the bull market's already started. It has yet to start. Bullish price action does not a bull market make, but you can't convince everybody of that, and I'm not interested in doing so. Watch and see. That's all I'll say. That's all I have for you today. Please like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider buying me a coffee at the pinned comment below, or joining my crypto portfolio consultation service, $150 per month, 1 to 2 hours with me one-on-one. I analyze up to 5 assets. I give you buy entry points or entry levels and exit levels on a monthly basis. So if it's just 1 month, I'll give you 1 entry and 1 exit, a next logical resistance for that target. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, and I hope you guys are staying safe in this market. Trading's not easy. It never has been. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. If you lost, I'm sorry. If you're winning, congratulations. Take care.